Hey everybody, welcome back to the Northwoods Family channel. If you've been following our channel lately, you probably saw some of the winter trail riding videos and noticed we are now rocking an entirely closed cab on our Polaris General. Living in Wisconsin, where almost half the year can get cold enough to make riding in an open cab pretty uncomfortable, we thought getting some upper door panels in conjunction with our heater would help extend our riding season. We looked at a number of options and ultimately settled on the canvas upper doors from Polaris for a few reasons. We did look really hard at the full doors from Polaris, the full poly doors that is, as well as a variety of aftermarket options. The OEM doors are really expensive. Polaris lists them on their website for about $2,500 a set, and being a four-seater, that means we're spending over $5,000 for front and rear doors. The canvas doors list at about $850 a set, so significantly less, and also the hard doors have not been available for months, so that was another consideration we had to make. There are some decent looking aftermarket options out there, but we settled on the Polaris OEM option based on reviews, costs, features, and availability. One thing we did not like about some aftermarket options we read about was the need to unzip some window panels before you could exit the machine. Especially with children, we wanted everyone to be able to get out quickly in case of an emergency with relative ease. Upon first view, looking at the construction of the door panels, they seem really solid. I was actually impressed how tight and strong they feel. The panels consist of a nylon canvas material that is stretched around a metal frame with sturdy clear plastic windows that can be unzipped. The zippers seem to be good quality and the stitching seems good too. The metal frame is sufficiently strong enough to keep the panels rigid, but still everything is very lightweight, so it's easy for one person to pick up and install. Now, installation of the upper canvas doors wasn't particularly technical, but it definitely took some time and it can be a bit of a pain. It wasn't difficult, but I found some pieces to be stubborn. Now, there are some other videos on YouTube that deal with the full installation step by step, so I'm not going to go into things that detailed, but rather here I want to give a general overview of the process and talk about a few things that I ran into. The instructions that come with the doors are pretty clear, the diagrams are good, and it's laid out step by step. You're going to need a few basic tools, a few wrenches or sockets, as well as a drill with some common drill bits. The process is fairly straightforward. The instructions come with templates that you will secure to the appropriate doors, mark drill points, and then drill through the top of the door panels. Now, these holes are supposed to line up with the bars that protrude from the window frame. Then what you need to do is you remove the inner door panels and install the metal brackets, which these protruding bars fit into inside of your existing doors. So I said it was a simple but stubborn process, right? So what I ran into was that even being super careful about positioning the templates where they needed to be to drill the holes in the door, not everything matched up perfectly where it needed to go. Now, the upper door frame is metal, so it's rigid and it doesn't give. But the bottom doors, as they come from the factory, are plastic. So what I imagine is the issue is that, the doors from machine to machine are going to vary. They're not going to be exactly the same because of temperature differences, how much they've been used, if they've warped, heat, things like that. There's just no way that every single plastic door panel is going to fit exactly consistently. So on my install, the edge of some of those holes I drilled in the doors wound up binding or pushing on the upper door frame panel and not allowing it to seat all the way down to the top edge of the factory bottom doors. You can see here there's a pretty good gap between the bottom factory door and the new soft upper door before I fixed this issue. Now, this wasn't a huge deal to fix. In order to get these to fit right, I had to take my existing holes and elongate them a little bit, usually by 1/4 inch or less. That said, the kit does have some rubber plugs to fill these holes when the upper door panels are not in use. I haven't checked yet to see if these rubber plugs are still going to work in these holes. I'm not really worried about it, but just so you know, I don't care how careful you are placing your templates on the door, and I do think you should be careful to get them as close as you can, but just understand there's a strong chance the holes you drill are going to need a little adjustment to get everything to fit right. After you have the holes drilled in the top of the door, the next thing you need to do is pull off your door panel and install these metal brackets on the inside of your door. Now, installing the brackets first might help you align things, but there's a little play in their fit as well before you tighten the bolts down. So I don't know if actually installing the brackets first before you drill the holes would help or not. It's something that you could try to play with. You probably do want to keep these brackets a little loose anyways until you get the upper door panels installed and then tighten everything down together. Now, because of the shape of the doors and the panels, you really can't use your new upper door panel frame as a guide. The templates are just going to get you lined up better. I also ran into a little trouble getting the rear door brackets installed inside my door. I may have had a bolt or something that was a little out of spec, because when I tried securing these brackets, the bolt simply did not want to go all the way in. It was like it was too long or stripped or something. What I wound up doing to make it fit was just using some washers as spacers so everything still stayed tight. I'm not sure if you would run into this problem or not. Again, it might have just been bad luck on my part. Anyways, at the end of the day with the installation process, I think this may be just one of those things you kind of have to roll with and understand that if you're not quite happy with how the upper panels are fitting with your existing doors, you may have some binding issues with the holes you drilled, and you might just need to enlarge them a bit. Now, in the rear of the machine, there are two small window panels that install using these clips. These can be a little stubborn too. They fit tight. One side went in fairly easy. The other side was just really tricky for me to get the clips pressed into place. I definitely would recommend removing the rear seats first to give you a little more room to work on the inside. I don't really have any tips or tricks on how to get these clips into place. It's just kind of a stubborn thing, and it might be one of those things you just got to keep working at. And finally, on the 10th, attempt to try something, it'll pop into place and work. Now, with the exception of these small rear windows, once the kit is installed, you can literally take the upper canvas doors off and reinstall them in a minute. I didn't realize this until I actually started installing these upper door panels, but if you look at Polaris's website when you're ordering these, it does state that they do not work with the lock and ride windshield. Now, that was a pretty big disappointment for me because Polaris is obviously really big about their lock and ride accessories. So I can't for the life of me understand why they would design this product in a manner that does not work with the lock and ride windshield. The issue, as you can see here, is this triangular panel, which is designed to fill a gap just behind the A-pillar roll bar. It contacts the lock and ride windshield clip when it's installed. So that's the issue. Now, if you don't install this, you're going to have a huge gap where water, snow, cold air, etc. can just get sucked into the cab, so you really do need to put them in place. Well, I decided I wasn't going to stop here and simply send everything back, so what I did is I just took a marker and I marked where the lock and ride clip was going to contact the inside panel, and I cut that out with a Dremel tool. You don't need to cut the outside panel, just the inside one. Now, this did the trick and everything fit. The catch is if you do this, you are going to need to remove this triangular panel before you take off your windshield. The windshield has to be clipped in place, and then you're going to install this triangular panel around the windshield clip. Now, it's not a huge pain, but it's just something to consider if you like popping your windshield on and off. I don't really figure that you would be riding without your windshield on if you're using these door panels, but it's something to consider. So let's talk for a couple minutes now about the fit and finish of the product. The rear windows fit great on our machine. They seal up well, they sit tight against the bottom half of the door, they look great, they fit great. The rear doors are flat across, of course, which I think helps, but another reason why the rear doors seem to fit better is because the rear door panels come with these straps which you can use to pull the top half of the door panel down against the bottom half. I can't understand why, but Polaris did not include these same type of straps for the front doors. So you wind up with some small gaps in between the top and bottom panels on the front doors. I'm planning on fashioning the same kind of straps for the front doors, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Now, I already talked about how the initial holes I drilled were not lining up properly. That definitely exacerbated the gap between the top and bottom door panels. Once the holes I drilled were no longer binding up the upper door panel frame, things fit much tighter against the bottom part of the door. There is a small gap still, but like I said, I'll probably come up with a strap system to help pull those doors down a little bit tighter. I haven't done that yet because honestly, it just hasn't been a big deal. Our heater cranks out so much heat, that little gap just hasn't bothered us. Occasionally you may get a drop of water or a few flakes of snow coming through it, but on the several rides we've been out now in that kind of weather, we just haven't gotten that much leaking. Okay, besides missing those straps to hold the front window panels down, there are 3 other things I'm not a huge fan of with these doors, which I'm going to tell you about now. The first is the Velcro closure system at the top of the door. At the top edge, inside the upper door panel, there's a big yellow tab. On the back side of that is hook and loop material, aka Velcro, that is designed to meet up with another piece of Velcro that you have to stick to your roll cage or roof. When you close your doors, you reach up and you pull that yellow tab tight, securing it to that sticky piece of Velcro. This is designed to keep the top part of the door closed. If you don't do this as you're driving, the air pressure will want to force that top part of the door open, and you can get some drafts or leaks that way. Now, the Velcro tabs secure the doors pretty well, as long as the sticky part of the Velcro stays stuck. But the Velcro tends to peel off, especially in cold weather, so it's not perfect. You will also want to secure these Velcro tabs when you're trailering on an exposed trailer. Otherwise, the top parts of the doors, especially the front doors, are going to flap around a little bit at high speeds. I don't think there's a potential for doing any damage, but if you're like me, that's going to drive you nuts every time you see it in the mirror. The trick is to secure as many doors from the inside as you can, usually 3, leaving yourself 1 door to exit your side-by-side. And then what you can do is just leave the last window cracked a little bit, reach inside, secure the Velcro, and then from the outside you can just use your fingertips to actually zip the window back shut. It took me a few tows to figure this out, but now I can secure the Velcro on all 4 doors when towing so they don't flap and drive me nuts. Another thing I wasn't really fond of is the interior pull straps on the back doors. Now, Polaris put some nicer straps on the front doors with a rubber handle that you can use to pull the door closed, but on the back doors, they're this cheap, chintzy nylon strap that looks kind of like the other nylon strap. So the kids wind up grabbing at things they're not supposed to pull the doors closed, and I just don't understand why Polaris didn't put the nicer handles on the back. Finally, the last thing I don't care about for the doors is the access panel used to open the rear doors from the outside. Obviously, on 4-door Polaris Generals, the rear door has to be unlatched from the inside. Polaris provided a zippered slot to reach your hand in through the upper door panels, but it is way too small, at least if you have manly-sized hands like myself. I can barely squeak my hand through the slot. It's uncomfortable, it's awkward to reach down and hit that latch from the inside, and if you're wearing gloves, just forget about it. Okay, so I just ran down a number of things that I think the doors come up a little short on. That said, overall they do what we wanted them to do. They keep the wind, the snow, the rain outside the cab, and they hold the heat inside. Now, we were looking for a reasonably priced solution that would give us full doors over the winter months to help extend our riding season. And these door panels have done that for less than a third of the price of the full hard poly doors. The fit is relatively tight, good enough again where we're not getting wet or cold when riding, and the construction seems to be pretty solid, to the point where I believe that these are going to last us for a really long time. Now, personally, if I was looking to have my cab fully enclosed all the time, I would probably opt for the full hard poly doors. I just think that they're going to hold up better to that kind of constant abuse, especially the windows. These canvas upper doors have plastic windows, so they're going to be more susceptible to scratching. But for seasonal use, like we're looking for, where they can be taken on and off with relative ease, I think they're going to do the trick. So far on our rides, they've done everything we wanted them to do, and I think they look pretty good on the machine as well. Alright, so that's the overview of the canvas upper doors from Polaris. Like I said, not a step-by-step installation video, but hopefully there's some good information here for you on the doors if you're considering picking them up, as well as some other things to watch for during installation. You know, like most things out there, they're not perfect. But for our family's use, for what we wanted them to do, they're working out pretty good, and I still think they're one of the best options out there for soft upper door panels. If you have any specific questions or comments about these soft upper door panels, please drop those in the comments section below. If you want to see some videos of the soft upper doors in action, be sure to check out some of our other videos, specifically those of our winter rides. Thanks again for watching. We're the Northwoods family, and we'll see you around.